Kent State really does care about its students, and I think that if a student wants to feel supported throughout their time here and feel like they have someone to go to for help or for advice or just to talk, Kent State is the place for that.
If you love hosting over the holidays, swap out your old HVAC filter with a Filtrete air filter. It can help clear away particles from all your holiday cooking. Look for Filtrete air filters at a retailer near you. Let's clear the air.
And all of a sudden I hear this pop, and I'm like, what is that noise? And I look out the window, and my ski bag was flying off the top of the bus. So we pull over, and of course my ski bag got run over by 2 semi trucks. And I swear to you, they were carrying loads of lumber. It wasn't just like, oh, it got hit by a semi truck. It was like, oh, it's like a semi truck carrying bricks. You know what I mean?
Hey folks, welcome to the show. I'm usually the host, Mason Gravely, but today is a throwback episode, so we're going to be talking to Travis from a few years ago when he interviewed Claire Smallwood about freeskiing. And if you don't know Claire, Claire is awesome. She is the executive director of SheJumps, which is a nonprofit committed to increasing participation of women and girls in outdoor sports and adventure sports. Amazing organization. I highly recommend you check them out. SheJumps. And Claire is just an incredible person. So they're going to be talking about all that. And before we jump in, I just did want to say thank you so much for listening. There's a lot of shows you could listen to out there, but you chose this one to listen to today, and we couldn't thank you enough. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Yeah, get inspired for your next adventure.
Welcome back to another episode of the Adventure Sports Podcast. This is your host, Travis. Today on the line with me is Claire Smallwood. She's a free skier as well as a private chef and the executive director and co-founder of SheJumps.org. This is a nonprofit organization dedicated to getting women and girls into the outdoors and that teaches them the skills they need to thrive. She currently resides in Alta, Utah, where she's also a sous chef at the Wildcat Chalet. Claire, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast.
Thank you so much, Travis. I'm so happy to be here.
We were just talking pre-interview. The weather in Colorado is setting in quick to become full-on summer. It's gotten up to 94 degrees already, and it's too soon, too much too soon. So I think it's going to be fun to talk about a little bit of powder and free skiing with you. So I'm pretty stoked to dive into that.
Sounds good. I mean, yeah, powder's always on the mind for anybody that's ever experienced it, I think.
No doubt. Okay, so let's dig into your background a little bit. Give people an idea who Claire Smallwood is and how it is you became a skier. Did you start young, or was it later in adult life?
Well, so I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm a fifth generation New Mexican. My mother's side of my family are ranchers, so the sense of outdoorsy people is little bit different in my background. My, mom was on a horse every day of her life until she was 18 and went to college. So when I was growing up, the outdoors was definitely more just hiking and walking around, and nobody in my family really skied. My parents had divorced when I was young, and when my dad remarried, my stepmother, Dot, who's actually from England, she learned how to ski in Norway when she was just traveling around Europe when she was younger, and she decided to take my older brother Joey and I skiing when I was 5 and he was 7. So that was the first time I ever went skiing, and I fell in love with it right away. I loved just going down the mountain between her legs, like, holding onto the ski poles kind of thing. And really, just because no one in my family was really into skiing, and also it's obviously a really expensive sport, I didn't really get a chance to do it that often after 5 years old. So when I fast forward to when I was in 5th grade, the Santa Fe school system had a subsidized skiing program, and you could pay $15 and go skiing and skip like a Friday of school and go skiing like 4 different times in the winter. That was
No-brainer.
Yeah, it was an amazing program, and that really set me up in so many ways for my life. I obviously you don't know that at the time, but looking back, it's a lot easier to see that. But what I figured out when I was skiing and that program was that you just saw different sides of people, you know, and you could really be friends with anyone from any background. Like you could have a friend that's like an old lady on the chairlift and you're 10 years old and you're just, you know, you're just there. Everyone's just like screaming down the mountain having fun. So that was when I really got into skiing. And when I think by the time I was 12, my parents noticed that that was what I was spending all my allowance on. I mean, I was babysitting everything I could do to be able to go skiing. And my dad was not really that into it. He didn't like the fact that he was seeing me get like so obsessed with this sport that seemed very dangerous and all this kind of stuff. And my older brother was also is a very, very talented skier. So, and he was like, you know, ditching high school and stuff to go skiing. So my dad kind of laid the hammer down and was like, all right, if you want to go skiing, you have to pay for it yourself and you can only go one time a week, you know. And it was devastating for me, but at the same time, it didn't really stop me. I just decided, all right, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm so dedicated. So basically I would save all my money, but just buy day tickets. I didn't have enough money for a season's pass. So I would do that all the time. And meanwhile, you know, of course, like on the powder days and stuff, I would think, oh my God, I want to go, but I already went on Saturday and I can't go on Sunday. And this is where a really great thing comes into play, which again sets me up for like the whole SheJumps experience later on in life, which is my best friend Cha, or short for Charlie. His mother Mary would actually show up. She'd actually call my parents, and she claims that she did this, although I don't know how much I remember her doing this, but I do remember this happening once where she would call and say, John, my dad, you know, I have to take the kids to this museum exhibit. It's very important. And so and then she'd tell me, just leave your ski stuff out by the garage, you know, we'll grab it. And so I would hop in and go up to the mountain with them, and she'd buy my lift ticket. And she just was like a second mom to me. It was amazing. And basically, you know, I mean, I was a great kid in school, straight A's, you know, didn't ditch any classes to go skiing. And I just loved skiing. It was like an obsession for me from that moment on. As soon as I had that feeling of like, I'm doing this on my own, I own it. This is my thing. No one can take this away from me. I just was totally in love. So then when I went to college, I based my decision on going to a good school, but also one that was within skiing distance. So I went to Lewis and Clark. I became the president of the ski and snowboard club there, mostly because I didn't have a car. So I needed to figure out a way that I could be front and center for getting a ride to the mountain. Very selfish, but at the same time, I knew that the community, again, of skiing was what was so important to me. I liked the identity of a skier or a snowboarder. I liked that feeling of being known as that, and that was my tribe. So when I was in college, I skied. I set up my schedule so I could ski Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you know, I definitely sacrificed, I think, a good portion of social aspects just because I was so driven to ski. And again, I never raced a gate in my life, so I wasn't training for anything in particular. And it was when free skiing competitions kind of came to light for me when I thought that's the kind of thing I want to compete in. So I went and started competing in 2005, and my first competition was in Taos, New Mexico. So it was the first time Ski Taos had ever hosted a competition. And it was just this totally eye-opening, inspiring experience for me because my older brother Joey was there. He was the one that had convinced me to go. He's like, Claire, you're so good. You're going to win. You're the best. You're the best girl I've ever seen, you know, and just so sure that he's going to win, that I was going to win. And so I show up just like very cocky and like ready to go. And all of a sudden I see all these other women there, and I got really, really intimidated and scared. And I was 19, and I just thought, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? And you know, what ended up happening was, again, it was the community that was there. It was nobody really cared about how well anybody did. It was all about just cheering people on. And that was when I first met Lindsay Dyer, the co-founder of SheJumps. So that was a huge thing for me. And obviously I'd looked up to her quite a bit, and then there I am competing against her. So that was a little bit scary at first, but again, you just kind of break down this idea of like this big scary world of like competition and skiing by realizing everyone's there just to ski powder or have fun and push each other and take risks. And I just really loved that sense of that. So that's what really, I mean, starting from that subsidized school skiing program, fast forwarding to taking that leap of like, okay, I'm going to go and like put myself out there and I'm going to compete in this sport, and realizing that at the end of the day, it really is about community was what really kind of brought things full circle. And at that event, something really special happened, which is that Jim Jack, rest in peace, he was a very close friend of my brother and I's. He actually created an award for my brother and I. Jim Jack was the head judge of the International Free Skier, or of the Freeskiing World Tour at the time, and he was also the president at some point of the International Free Skiers Association. So he was kind of just, he was the mayor of free skiing. Anyway, so Joey, my brother, and I have been screaming so loud at this competition. Sorry, it's kind of a long story, but I guess
That's
the
fine.
bio. Joey and I were screaming so loud at this competition, and just like our stoke levels were so high, it was out of control, that Jim Jack, when he was doing the awards, I ended up in 6th place at the competition, and my brother was in 5th. So we didn't make the podium, quote unquote, but we were just still really excited. And he was giving out the awards, and he goes, I can't go any further without honoring these two people and for their amazing spirit and all this great things. And I'm wondering who he's going to say. And then he calls my brother and I up there, and he gives us this beautiful, just kind of like honoring moment of saying, like, these people embody the spirit of the skiing community and what we all should aspire to in terms of positivity and supporting each other. And it was it was one of the most proud moments of my life to be honored like that. And again, it just reinforced this sense that it's not about how good you are at skiing. It's about being a part of the community. And what's really cool about that is that the award has since gone on to be the Tobias Lee Spirit Award. My brother and I met Tobias Lee that year at the competition, and unfortunately his life was claimed by an avalanche just a year later. So he won the Spirit Award, though, right before he died. And it's just so cool that started with us as a kind of a little crew, and that family I'll never forget. So that was in 2005. I graduated college in 2007. I had met Lindsay. I started to meet Vanessa, and again, just kind of kept competing in skiing, moved to Alta as soon as I graduated high school, and started to, just get out there as much as I could, shoot photos, video, travel to South America to ski year round, and all the while continuing to build this concept of SheJumps. So I think that the short version of the story is getting involved from a really young age and realizing that, if you don't have role models to look up to and you have to create those role models, then, the value of that sport, that experience in the outdoors is just becomes so much more valuable. And then on top of that, if you can create those role models for other people or be a role model, then it just makes the world go round.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, man, I mean, the passion about skiing or the passion for skiing just kind of rolls out of you. That's awesome. Do you think that, you started pretty young? Do you think this starting young and the school program you were involved in, do you think that really drove you? Would you have had this amount of passion had you not had that opportunity as a child?
I do think so, but I think for me, it was about that experience when I was at the school skiing program. I don't think that learning how to ski when I was 5, even though it was this like distant memory and this feeling of having fun, I didn't really have access. So it was like a great initial experience, and I had that muscle memory of being 5 and learning, and being 10 and being able to pick it back up. But yeah, I think it just really came down to that sense of like motivation, if you will, of what I think really drives people. And I didn't really understand what ski racing was, which is kind of funny. I just saw people scraping powder off runs, and I literally was skiing by myself. I mean, I would, get a ride up to the mountain with someone and just ski by myself all day long. And nobody was there to tell me what ski racing was. So I was thinking, what are those people doing? Not realizing that it's friends of mine from school and stuff. They're just like, I don't recognize them. So again, I think it comes back more to the motivation of being like, oh, this is my thing, and I really want to just have fun doing it. And then eventually realizing that the more you can have more fun, the better you are. And then kind of letting that drive you to improve from there.
Yeah, right. Well, plus as you're a kid, you're so damage proof at that point. Just crashing and burning doesn't mean anything to you. I remember when I was a kid, I probably started skiing about 9 or 10, and for us, there was no lessons. Like you said, skiing has always been a fairly expensive thing to get into. So we would have enough money to go skiing, but forget lessons. Just point your skis downhill and go for it. So that's for the first few years. That's all we ski is just pretty much straight downhill. We get to the bottom and shower everybody with snow, and then we get on the lifts and do it all over again. Then we finally realize that you're supposed to turn and have fun with it. But But yeah, what a great
Yeah,
experience.
absolutely. And I think that sometimes we get really caught up in like making fun of people, we call them like, beaters or whatever, like, oh man, can you look at that person? Oh, they're, or like skiing in jeans is like a funny thing. And I mean, I literally skied in jeans like when I was growing up, like when I didn't have, I mean, I wasn't going to stop me if I either couldn't find my snow ski pants or they didn't fit, or I was just going to keep going. So, I think that that's definitely something. It's more fun to just support people that are at least they're trying. That's a
Yeah,
really cool thing.
no doubt. Yeah, and the jeans always just became this frozen armor of ice, anyways. I
Are you
remember
going to
those
put that in
days.
text, like for searching, like Claire Smallwood skis and jeans? Because that would be really
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I'm gonna require a photo of it too, actually.
Don't think we have those. Thankfully, it was before digital cameras.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about free skiing versus, downhill ski racing. Describe free skiing itself for people that might not know the various forms of skiing.
Okay, so I think actually so starting with the like okay, so there's the general concept of free skiing and then there's maybe like the subjects, the subtopics if you will of like free riding and like park skiing and big mountain. All of it comes from this idea that there are generally no rules. You're using the entire mountain as your canvas and your playground, and you're not necessarily trying to like go between specific gates, which obviously is more downhill skiing, the type of thing that most people are exposed to via the Olympics or any kind of college teams and team racing. So that's definitely more of the quantifiable form of skiing as a sport. And so the free skiing movement of competitions it's changed so much, and at the same time hasn't changed at all since its inception. I mean, in the 90s. So that was when let's see, Lotsie Hawk and Sherry McConkey and Shane McConkey. I'm definitely going to forget all of the people that founded the International Free Skiers Association, but I think you can check it out at ifsa.org. Anyway, so basically they came together with this idea of, there's these free skiing competitions that were happening organically. And it's this idea that you start at the top of the mountain and you're judged in several different categories, including your line score, fluidity, style, aggression, and technique. And the rule back when I was competing was that nothing could be, any other score could not be more than 2 points higher than your line score. So if you had a line score of 4 and it's based out of, actually, so sometimes it would be based out of 5 and sometimes it'd be based out of 10, but say it was based out of 5 and your line score was a 2, then it means that you could have no score that was higher than a 4 in any other category. And so basically it's this concept that you're trying to flash a line down the mountain, ski as fast, as smooth, as possible, but also getting yourself into technical areas or hitting features. So imagine it's like a video game where you're starting at the top and you're trying to, bop trees or go through trees, and you're imagining little coins like, gather up like ding, 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 ding as you're hitting any kind of feature. So anytime you're making a turn around a rock or jumping over a rock or straight lining something, you're ideally gaining points. So that's kind of this general concept of it. But I think that where it's changed now is people are just so creative, and now people are building these massive jumps on the in the big mountain competitions, and you're just seeing this whole new progression of the sport. A lot of the best skiers stem from that downhill skiing background though. So the two sports are really complementary of each other in the sense that you can be a good skier without having downhill skied, but you're going to have to work a lot harder to have the technique to be able to ski and control in those areas. And then I think on top of it, it's a mental thing as well. So when you're downhill ski training, the downhill racers, slalom racers, etc., they just have incredible mental edge. And I think that was something that I know I really struggled with when I was competing. It was not so much the mental edge of, oh, I could do that. I've got that. I'm confident. It was like this idea of when the clock goes go, of being able to be on your best no matter what, especially when the conditions can be really challenging too.
Yeah, right. I can imagine. So how about a time on the mountain that you might consider your best day out there? You have quite a few years under your belt skiing at this point, starting so young. But was there one moment or one day that just really sticks with you as being the pinnacle of days being out there on the mountain?
Um, yeah, well, there's so many. It's tough to put, one date to it. I think that there's a saying that goes, it's like you get one good turn and it's all about waiting for the next one. You kind of don't really get to live in that moment so long.
Yeah,
It's just
right.
you're constantly seeking it, which is part of the journey and the experience. I think the first thing, and I'll just I mean, of course, I could sit here and mull over a million different options, but honestly, the first thing that pops into my head is this day that I had. It was in Chile in 2011, and it was not epic snow, and it was not. It was just a beautiful day, and I went ski touring with my now fiance, and it was the first time we had gone ski touring together. And I think it was just this sense that he didn't really know that much about me, and I never maybe didn't really know as much about him, but we kind of knew this idea of each other. And I decided we were gonna go and ski this thing called the Pyramid Face in Nevados de Chillán, which is the ski area in southern Chile. Well, so we access it from the ski area, and then you have to ski tour quite a ways to get to the actual face that you're going to ski. And it just was this moment of me realizing, this is SheJumps. I was like, this is what I want to inspire other women to do. And it was because, I mean, I just woke up and I said, we're going to go ski the pyramid face, and I was like, I'm going to take you there. And I was totally confident in it. And the skiing was, again, not that great, but it was this feeling of, I earned it to get here, and this feeling of I'm in South America. This is one of my most amazing, biggest dreams come true. I'm skiing this beautiful mountain. I'm watching the sunset in Chile, and I'm going to ski all the way to our hotel. We could literally ski down the road to where we were staying. And that was the moment, where you're just like, okay, it doesn't always have to be deep powder. Sometimes it is who you're with, and it's where you are, and it's just deciding, buy the ticket, take the ride, and being like, all right, I'm going to go do that. And then doing it and being like, oh, that was really fun. I want to go do that again. And then you go back to do it again, and it's not nearly the same. So it makes you really appreciate being in the moment.
Yeah, and that's important, be in the moment. I've thought about that more and more lately. With social media and everything, we feel it's necessary to stop and share that moment, with others, and it just kind of breaks the moment. So there's always a balance between trying to truly enjoy the moment and hold it within your own memory and sharing a little bit of the fun you're having. So
Yeah.
it's one of those times when it sounds like you just sucked it in and lived the moment at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll never, and it was before, I mean, no Facebook, right? I mean, I don't have any access to that or to social
Right.
media while I'm doing it. I can take pictures if I want, but it's not this instant gratification of look where I am and look what I'm doing. It was just, yeah, it's that was for me. There you go. No one's ever going to be able to see what I saw there, and that's fine. It's
Yeah, exactly. Well, that sums it up
yeah.
just perfectly. It's for you. Take that moment on, and that's your moment. You don't need to have to share it. Just live in it, be in it, savor it.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, let's talk about SheJumps for a little bit. You mentioned it a couple of times, and I mentioned it in your intro. SheJumps, again, is a nonprofit, 501c3. And the whole point of SheJumps is to get women and girls into the outdoors. Tell us more about how it came about and what it is you intend to do and what you see the future of it being.
Ooh, the future question. I love that one. Yeah, SheJumps. It's been quite the journey. So I started it with Lindsay Dyer, who's a big mountain professional skier, and Vanessa Pierce in 2007. So we officially incorporated in 2007. We got our 501c3 status in September of 2008. And the first 4.5 years of our existence, we were just driven by this sense, and why we started it was this sense that we knew that there were a lot of women in the outdoors getting after it, getting really rad, doing the same things that the guys were doing, never getting the publicity, never getting the stories told about them, never getting the sponsorships or the support. And having experienced that as well, Lindsay at a higher level than myself, but definitely having that experience of saying hey, just because I'm doing something that's different doesn't mean that it's irrelevant. So our initial vision was to bring that community of women together. So we definitely did start with that upper echelon of athletes, like this idea that we wanted to bring together more professional or aspiring professional females and help to give them the tools that would help them be able to fulfill their goals and their dreams, and therefore creating more role models. But, essentially we weren't really that focused in that vision. And I was still kind of just wrapping my head around. I mean, I didn't really realize how big, SheJumps could turn out to be one day. And I think we all just kind of treated it as this side project. And, so of course you get out of it what you put into it. So those first 4.5 years, we put all of our focus, on one big event per year, which was where we would take Boys and Girls Club kids skiing, and from Salt Lake City up to Alta. So we take them skiing 4 times during the winter. And, the whole idea was this chance to link the passionate female community of skiers to this less fortunate community and show positive female role models and, give back and get these kids outside. So that's where our roots, first started in terms of our first program. And then these other programs would pop up where people would say, oh, I'm in Portland and I really want to do a SheJumps program. And we were like, okay, well, that sounds great. What do you want to do? We were really like letting people paint the canvas for themselves as to how the organization spoke to them. And it spoke. I mean, I was inundated with emails really basically starting from 2010 to 2013, which in 2013 prompted this massive rebrand of our organization that didn't change the core of what we were doing, but we really restructured our program offerings. So now what SheJumps is much more focused, and we have what I'd like to say is, structured programming that helps people to really see how we fulfill our promise, which is to increase participation of women and girls in outdoor activities. So now we offer outdoor education events, because at the core of what we always wanted to do, we realized, was to help get more women outside. It wasn't just about taking the pros and the semi-pros and helping them feel good about themselves. We still want to do that, and we do through jumper profiles on our website. But, we really want to help people always be able to be a beginner. I think that's a very important core value of SheJumps. You can always jump in and try something new. So we do outdoor education events that help people learn basic skills to more advanced skills, everything from compass and navigation and terrain management to, avalanche, Abbey 1 and Abbey 2 courses for women-specific courses. So a little bit of everything in the outdoor education realm. And then we also host community initiative events, which are just ways that women can get together, meet new people to get into the outdoors with. Great way to meet people when you move to a new town. Find SheJumps. In some cases we offer ambassadorships for new places where we don't currently have programs. And, you can be the leader, the mover and the shaker, the person that's there saying, hey, ladies, let's get together. Let's have fun in the outdoors. Let's learn stuff and let's give back. And that brings me to our third program offering, which is Wild Skills. I'm super excited about Wild Skills. It's a free day camp for girls under 18 to learn all season outdoor skills. So that's where we can take this community of women that we've mobilized and that are just, hey, I love the outdoors. I'm a skier. I'm a biker. I like to hike. Oh, I just got into this. I was a stressful investment banker and I'm done. I'm living in the mountains now. Whatever the story is, Wild Skills is our way to connect those people to young women, young girls that need access to seeing women owning it, knowing how to do things, being self-sufficient, all that good stuff. And then our final program is called Get the Girls Out. And that's our fundraising program. It's super fun, festival-like atmosphere where girls and women can come together and have something for everyone, beginners to advanced. It can be skiing, it can be biking. We're looking at hosting a Get the Girls Out fishing and hiking event soon. So a little bit of everything. And again, at the core of it, we're just like, hey, let's get more women and girls outside, however we can do that. And let's make sure that we're making a difference in our local communities while we do it.
Let's take a quick message break and hear from the folks that help make this show possible.
Welcome to Parent Teacher Night. Oh, yes, Miss Garner.
If you have one of those airline credit cards, you're probably not earning double miles on every purchase.
You're right. My card only gets extra miles on some types of purchases.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles everywhere.
Wait, but where can we use them?
You can use Capital One Venture Miles on any travel purchase.
Venture gets an A+.
Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Some coffee's fast, but not fresh. Some coffee's fresh, but only after a long wait. Speedway coffee is made fresh at the push of a button, hot or iced, so you can have fresh coffee your way, right away. Get 2 times the points when you buy any size hot or iced coffee drink with Speedy Rewards.
That is plenty of that for now. Let's get back into the episode.
Well, it's so cool to see little kids out there just starting to get immersed in the world of adventure sports and just outdoor activities. So many times our kids are stuck in front of, some sort of screen, where there can be computers, tablets, TVs, and they don't get out enough for you guys to be doing SheJumps to specialize in getting them introduced to all of the wonder that the outdoor provides is awesome. Good for you guys for doing that.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it's fun too.
No doubt.
I manage 43 volunteers across the country. So that's how much we've grown. It's pretty nuts. So last year we hosted 154 events in 18 different states, and we created over 3,000 new opportunities for women and girls to get outside. So
wow.
We did all that on a budget of about $100,000, which is kind of crazy. So we definitely are looking for support, and we are, but nothing seems to be stopping. I can't literally seem to stop communities from reaching out, which is great. Having people interested in getting involved is a wonderful, wonderful problem to have.
Oh, absolutely. And you have the perfect passion to share with those girls and women to get them excited about it too. So
well,
perfect person to do it.
Secret is, right?
What's that?
I'm in part girafficorn. Do you know about the girafficorn?
I kind of do, but go ahead and tell the rest of the people. I did read up on it.
So the girafficorn is the SheJumps mascot. And Lindsay Dyer dreamed it up, but it probably was already alive in all of us long before we knew it, like a star from the galaxy. Just kidding. But the girafficorn represents having your feet on the ground, but your head in the clouds above chaos and drama with a little bit of magic to get you through. So I actually really do rely on the girafficorn spirit to keep me motivated sometimes. Not motivated. I'm obviously very motivated, but it can be easy to burn out when you're running a nonprofit and have other jobs and all this kind of stuff. But you know what, when you make a difference in people's lives, and little girls see the girafficorn or they get really excited about events, that's better than any kind of paycheck. You know what I mean? That's knowing that you're really making a big difference in someone's life. So it's fun. And the girafficorn is magical, and it just kind of makes people giggle, and that's what we're all about.
That's great. Well, we all need a little bit of little girafficorn inside us to get through life for sure.
Some people call it a uniraph. You can call it that if you want, but we call it a girafficorn. So, and Vanessa and I, Vanessa is my best friend, co-founder of SheJumps, and we joke all the time because when we teach this Boys and Girls Club ski program, we often get stuck with the kids that are really having a tough time. Like they're just not sports adept at all, and so they're like trying to figure out the skiing thing, and they're so frustrated, and they want the hot chocolate, and they don't just want to go inside, and we're begging them to stay out. And Vanessa, I always look at each other and we go, we're going to girafficorn heaven, just remember. So if you buy girafficorn gear, you too can go to girafficorn heaven.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. So what kind of reactions do you get from the young kids going through these programs, or do you get feedback from some that have been through the program and are now adults, or at least older and experiencing things out there on their own? Girls that you've given the jump start to. Do you get some feedback from them?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, there's this one girl that pops into my head right away. Her name is Diana, and Diana participated in our program from 2010 until 2012, and then now she's actually come back and volunteered, and she's actually in pilot school right now. She's in flight school, so she's learning how to be a pilot. It's really great. She lives in Salt Lake City, and the cool thing about Diana is that she decided that she loved skiing just like I did, and was like, you know what, I'm going to keep skiing. And it was, a lot of these other kids are like, oh, great, SheJumps gives us lift tickets and all of our gear and all that, and that's great. We like to ski, but unfortunately, the likelihood that they decide to go on their own and either buy the gear or source the gear out, and we offered opportunities for them to get all that stuff at discount or hand-me-downs or however we can. We always try to support that kind of continuation through this particular skiing event. But Diana I never even really heard from her about her desire to do it. And all of a sudden I see her at the hill on her own. She goes, "Oh, hi, Claire." And I'm, "Whoa, you're here. Like, Diana, what's going on?" I mean, I've been seeing this girl grow up through high school. She goes, "I'm just skiing by myself today." And what kind of, you know, 19-year-old Hispanic girl, no one in her family skis. She literally only learned how to ski from the SheJumps program. She takes the bus up there all by herself, and she goes skiing. She bought herself a season's pass. She goes skiing on the powder days, just goes by herself. She doesn't need friends or anyone to be like, "Well, no one wanted to go with me. I don't go." I just think that is the coolest thing, to see someone doing that. And then otherwise, unfortunately, with our Wild Skills program, it's still young enough. We haven't seen kids go, through the whole program yet. But, so far, I think that how we structure these Wild Skills programs, and I'll send you over some photos. Hopefully you can post on the site. We like these girls running around in tutus, and they got face paint, and they've got streamers tied in their hair, and they're doing interpretive dancing in all the breaks between the activities. We're about affiliating fun with the outdoors. It's not about being serious. So I hope that they view the Wild Skills thing as not, "Oh, I already did that. I learned those skills, but I'm going to keep going back because it's so much fun," and that's where we really want to make people realize that it's not about, again, being the best person. You just have to be willing to get out there and have fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you make me want to be a girafficorn hearing all of that. I wish I were young enough and a girl so I can get involved.
You can wear girafficorn gear, though. That's actually a huge source of fundraising for us on our website.
Sweet.
So you can be I tell people it's better than a puppy. I don't, single dudes, they go, "Oh man, Claire, introduce me to some of your SheJumps girls." I'm like, I'm not a dating service. I said, but if you buy a girafficorn hat, it's much less upkeep, much less expensive, much less commitment than a puppy, and I guarantee girls will talk to you. So there you go. Take that advice.
Well, there you go, guys. Get your very own girafficorn hat, and you too will have dates for the time to come.
Guaranteed, 100%.
That's awesome. Okay, so where do we send people to go find out more about girafficorns and about SheJumps and the programs you offer?
Well, you can go to our website at shejumps.org. And once you're on the website, you can click on the various regions on the map to get involved in a specific area. And then we have a link for the store as well. So we sell t-shirts and hats and chapstick, and we have a bunch of great partners as well. And actually on the website too, if you sign up for our newsletter, you can get access to amazing deals from our partners like Big Agnes, who we love. If you sign up for our newsletter, you actually can get access to a 25% off Big Agnes coupon. So definitely worth checking out. And again, you can get in touch with regional representatives for your area or just find out about SheJumps in general.
Oh, right on. Well, that's a sweet discount. We appreciate you guys and Big Agnes for throwing that one together. We all love Big Agnes out of Steamboat, Colorado. 25% is no small piece of change. So go on and get that newsletter and get yourself some Big Agnes goodies and check out what SheJumps does, because you guys sound like you have an amazing program, and I hope that you have many, many years to come with it. So what is it that you kind of envision SheJumps becoming? I mean, you guys have done a ton with it. So what does the future look like?
I think it's really important. One of the biggest tenets of what we initially started SheJumps with was this idea of, like jump in. Like we decided when we first started SheJumps, it was all about the manifest game. And the manifest game is where you sit around with your friends and you go, all right, like let's just pretend for a second. Okay, it's 10 years from now. You wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you see? And then you kind of go from there, and everyone else's dreams kind of play into yours, and it's a fun, inspirational game. So my manifest for SheJumps and actually what our 5-year plan is, it's not just a big dream. We want to be the go-to leading resource for outdoor education for women and girls in the United States. So what that means is we want to be offering low cost and free access to outdoor education events, which we are already doing. But we would love to see happen is having more curriculum involved. So, for example, expanding all of our programs to just really firm up and just to firm up all of our curriculum, essentially. So this idea that, you would go to SheJumps for not necessarily a certification, but a top level recognized educational event that will set you up for potentially a career in the field. If you're younger and you're thinking about becoming a guide, or if you just want to be really savvy, you can take the SheJumps program. So that's step number one, be the leader. And then beyond that, I think what we really want to see happen is have SheJumps have these hubs where we are a community center. We want to be a safe haven for girls of all abilities and backgrounds to have a physical space, as well as these known programs, like we said, with the curriculum, where they can come and explore any kind of adventure or idea and have unlimited resources at their beck and call. So, having foundational grants set up that help young women have opportunities to do those kinds of things, to help a young woman like Diana, get a season's pass if it's tough for her to do that, and yet she really wants to keep going with this expensive sport. How can we, get more access to, outdoor opportunities, not just education and programs through SheJumps? And then I think beyond all of that, what we really want to be seeing happening is have the impact of SheJumps. We use this phrase a lot in the nonprofit industry, move the needle. Our goal is to make, what we want to call not severe. I'm losing my train of thought here a little bit, but basically we want to be creating impact in communities, female communities that really need it the most for outdoor education, outdoor experiences, not necessarily education. So we want to be working with, rape victims, domestic violence victims, women in transition, young girls from underprivileged youth. That to me is where the outdoors has the most healing and therapeutic effect on people. And we want to be able to offer situations where those women and girls can come and they don't have to be identified as a victim or as anything other than just a person in the outdoors, and giving them opportunities and creating structure in our programs that really allows us to alleviate that social burden and help our communities out in the best way we know how, which is to get outside and have fun.
Oh, right on. Well, congratulations on what you have built, and as much luck as possible to what you guys are going to continue on in the future. That sounds awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. So we love to ask the question about a time when things didn't go right, the day when things went sideways. Do you have a fun story about something like that?
Yeah, I've got a great story. And if any of the listeners have been to Chile or are planning to go there for any sort of skiing experience, then hopefully they can actually see the end result of the story, but get there. So basically, my first year I went to Chile, I was hired by Casa Tours to go down and guide a resort-based and side country ski trip. Never been to Chile before, but I was hired because I'm fluent in Spanish. So, and skier obviously, and had experience, doing not guiding per se, but just backcountry experience and general mountain and travel experience. So go down there, and I'm already on the trip, and I'm already at, my flight gets canceled, and I'm spending the night in the Atlanta airport, all that stuff, but whatever. I mean, everyone has that experience, that story. But basically what ends up happening is I'm on a bus to Chion, and I am sitting there talking to my friend Chad, and all of a sudden I hear this pop, and I'm like, what is that noise? And I look out the window, and my ski bag was flying off the top of the bus on the Ruta 5, which is like, the I-25 equivalent or whatever interstate you want. Like it was just flying through the air. I watched it do like 3 triple somersaults. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I just freeze, and can't even think of what the word in Spanish is to tell the driver to stop, because I'm just losing it, right? And so we pull over, and of course my ski bag got run over by 2 semi trucks, and I swear to you, they were carrying loads of lumber. It wasn't just like, oh, I got hit by a semi truck. It was like, oh, it's like semi truck carrying bricks. You know what I mean? It was like,
oh no,
that's injury. So basically what ends up happening is, luckily my guiding partner Travis was so brave, and he runs out to the road, and he manages to grab the ski bag. So I'm like, oh, maybe something's salvageable. I'm just, first and foremost, I'm so glad it didn't hit somebody in a car, because that could have been really, really bad. So luckily nobody was hurt. Travis gets the bag off the road. We open it up. Everything is demolished. I had 2 pairs of skis, 2 pairs of bindings, like all my like touring gear, ice axe, crampons, skins, shovel, beacon, probe, like everything is just demolished in the bag. Luckily, I had my ski boots not in the bag, right? And basically, I mean, it ended up being this experience. I mean, I was 3 days into my 2 month trip in Chile, and and I'm there to ski. I'm there to work as a skier. And I don't know, down there, it's a lot easier now. That this was like 6 or 7 years ago. It's really hard to find access to getting skis mounted or to, like just good gear, safe gear. So
Right.
I was pretty wrecked. I was upset, you could put it lightly. But what ended up happening was I was able to borrow a pair of skis from Chad. They were a pair of 192 Black Diamond Zealot skis. So for any skiers listening out there, I'm 5'6", so they normally put a girl my size on like on like 170 length skis.
Right.
So I was skiing on 192s. And they were like 2x4s basically, so I like couldn't turn. I just went straight down the mountain the whole time. And anyway, so it was a huge bummer for me, like travel insurance didn't even begin to replace all the things that went wrong, that got ruined and all this stuff. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm like sitting there being such a victim, like, why me? Like, oh, I can't believe this, and mad at the driver. And, and then you're like, you know what? One day I'm going to look back and I'm going to laugh at this. So what I decided to do was take the one ski that was not completely ruined. I mean, AKA like cut in half basically. And I took it down to the local bar in Las Trancas, which is the village near Chillán, the ski area. And I march it on down there with all our guests from the trip at the time and Travis, and we bring it in there, and they'd never had a shot ski before. So I made a shot ski where we did, and it was really wonderful. My dear friend Gatika owns the bar. He doesn't manage it anymore, so unfortunately, if people go in there now, they still do have the shot ski there, and you can see there's SheJumps, old SheJumps stickers all over it, and there's been so many signed autographs that have been rubbed off and everything. And now it's like a whole new generation of signatures on there. But that was the fun silver lining, because basically that shot ski, people loved it in Chile. It became a little bit famous. Like people were like, "You're the girl that brought the ski shot," like that was cool, because it was like something good to bring out of something that wasn't a good experience for me. And I'm not encouraging taking, shot skis necessarily, but if you happen to be in Las Trancas and you see it there, I'd recommend just at least touching it.
Well, how can you pass it up?
Yeah, exactly.
From a woman that knows how to turn lemons into shot skis, you have to imbibe.
Exactly. Why not?
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about Pretty Faces. I found that you were in a flick that Lindsay Dyer had done, and it was a bunch of women just bombing down the mountain, doing a little bit of free skiing, and it was Warren Miller-esque. And I've only seen the trailer, but I definitely want to check it out and see what the rest of the film looks like. So tell me about that experience.
Oh yeah, and absolutely, you should check it out. It is a wonderful, wonderful film. So my role in the film, I have a short part in the film. I definitely did a lot more behind the scenes work on the film. It's the culmination of many years of long email threads between pretty much every female in the ski industry, it seems like. At some point, conversation sparked up that was just, it's pretty obvious. I mean, really, if you've ever seen any ski movie, the conversation went like this: "Hey, we really need to have our own ski movie. This is BS. Like, how come there's one woman in each ski movie, And then on top of that, there's a whole iceberg of processes that go into deciding which female that's going to be, and why isn't there more than one? Well, because it's all about marketing dollars and companies giving money to, support one particular person to be able to be in the movie. I mean, it's very, very expensive. There's no guarantee of, return on investment as far as like paying for someone to be in the movie. There's a whole laundry list of reasons why women just like weren't in these ski movies. And, basically a lot of leading female skiers were just like, okay, we're over this. We're going to do something about it. And that conversation went on for a long time, and there were a lot of really awesome ideas that started behind it. But I think Lindsay really reached a point where she's an incredibly creative person in general. She just is by nature, and she's an artist. And I think that she just had been in the industry for long enough. She just decided, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? But she really, I I give her a lot of credit because, and this was one of my jobs within the film, was that a big component of it was send in your footage. Like, I want to see what you've created, like, this is your movie too. This isn't about, because we're not getting these big corporate sponsors to pay for this film. We can tell whatever story we want, and we want to tell the story of the skier girl. So it's this idea that, everyone kind of comes from similar roots and backgrounds of somebody teaching them how to ski, or some reason, something inspiring them to ski, and these women that have gone before us. And it's a really wonderful story of that, again, of the community, that theme that kind of overarches. And SheJumps was involved because it was we basically launched the entire tour for the film. So I was in charge of a lot, I think 14 tour stops. So I went around the country and showed the movie and emceed the movie, premiered it in front of 1,000 people in Bozeman, to a completely sold out crowd. I mean, every single theater that we went to was sold out. And then again, my role within it was just doing a lot of PR, a lot of reaching out to community members and saying, okay, you want to be in the movie? You've been talking about it. Time to send in a hard drive. So we literally had boxes and boxes and boxes of hard drives that had been sent in for the editing team to take a look at. And the editing team was all women. It was headed up by Hillary Byrne and Allie Rude. I mean, it was, and Sophie Danison. It was just, the whole female push to get it out there was really staggering. And hopefully it's not the end of it. Lindsay plans to continue on in creating more webisodes for Unicorn Picnic, and her whole idea is it's all about showing up. So UP, Unicorn Picnic, is the production company. So yeah, I mean, it's, again, it was a big overarching project, but the goal was in the end just to show that, women can shred, and that women are not going anywhere anytime soon in the ski industry. And in fact, we're just getting bigger and more powerful. So watch out, world. Ladies, unicorns on skis coming for you.
Nice. Well, the movie sounds like it's inspiration in and of itself. I'll definitely have to check that out, and would definitely encourage others to go see it as well. And there's there's a kind of a funny thing in the beginning of it, at least in the trailer, and it's the way the unicorn manages to manifest the rainbow, which it took me by surprise. So if that's not intriguing enough,
again, that's just like the Lindsay having fun. Like, that's like, you can't take yourself too seriously. I feel like a lot of, this idea of like, I'm an extreme athlete, or just people in general these days on social media. It's like everyone just takes themselves so seriously. Right. We're about like the rainbows and the unicorns and whatever else. I mean, actually, we've got a plan this summer for filming a SheJumps informational video. And one of the storylines that came through from my Wild Skills director, I read it and literally laughed until I had tears in my eyes. I mean, and that's just, no idea is a bad idea. It's all on the table, and if it uses Enya's music, then, that's going to be part of it.
It's got extra credit then, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. All right. So last question. This is the one we'll leave off on. Not so much a question, but words of encouragement. You're all about inspiring women to get out there. So what are some final words of encouragement to get people, men and women, out into the outdoors and try something new?
That's a wonderful thing to end on. And it's I feel like how I kind of think about challenges and, things has really changed since I've run SheJumps, right? So it started with like, I can do anything. Like, oh yeah, like I can start a nonprofit when I'm 22, have no idea like what I'm doing. And then having that manifest in the outdoor world and vice versa, right? So I think when people are thinking about the outdoors, and again, they're constantly inundated with this idea of like, people are so good. Everyone in the world today is so good at everything they do. I mean, there's dogs skateboarding better than you are, good luck. I'm just saying, like, so I like this idea as far as encouragement for getting outside goes, is that, it just starts with one decision, right? One adventure, one goal, one thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. And if it's skiing powder, then that's great. But if you can't always ski powder, it doesn't mean that you're failing at that one thing that makes you tick. So I think it's just all about simplifying and being almost forgiving with yourself about when you can't do something, and realizing that that struggle is just going to make the victory of whatever it is that you want and whatever it is that you want to see that much more valuable. And I think more than anything, just trying to watch the sunset every day, getting in touch with nature is not as difficult as it needs to be. And it doesn't always have to include a really long drive or an airplane trip somewhere. And just being outside and being present and realizing that you can have an effect on the environment, I think is something that should hopefully really encourage people and realize that it's the theory of change. If you can be motivated to go on a hike or get involved with a local organization, either like SheJumps or something else, trail building, something like that, you really make a difference, and you never know who you're going to inspire. So I think it's all about kind of keeping it simple and realizing that, at any point you can be a beginner and you can always get better at something. So it's just about getting out there and trying.
Yeah, very well put. Yeah, and there's nothing more fun than being the beginner at something when you've discovered a passion for something and all you can think about is getting back out the next time and trying that thing again and improving on it. And I found so many hobbies and outdoor activities that I felt like that from. And you almost in a way you're almost saddened when you do get better at something because it's not as much of the discovery that you had in the beginning. So there's a lot to be said for just getting out there and discovering.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's so funny is someone that really inspires me is Rachel Burks. She's in the Pretty Faces movie. She's a professional skier. She's just the most hilarious person you're ever going to meet. But one thing that she said in an interview before I had ever even met her in person was she said, every time I click into my skis, I have the opportunity to get better. Just because she's a pro skier doesn't mean that she's not just, even that could be anything. Being better doesn't always have to mean being faster or going bigger. You can just be a better person on the mountain, so it's fun. You can always just try and support people and you get so much more out of it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Claire, it was a blast to spend an hour with you talking about some free skiing and SheJumps. She gave us a lot of information, and I hope people will go over to SheJumps and sign up for that newsletter. I mean, go to get the newsletter, learn about SheJumps, and get that Big Agnes 25% off. But in doing so, you'll learn about this great organization and maybe get yourself or someone that involved in it and inspire them to get out and try something new.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.
I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You as well.
First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to the show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to growing the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.
If you love hosting over the holidays, swap out your old HVAC filter with a Filtrete air filter. It can help clear away particles from all your holiday cooking. Look for Filtrete air filters at a retailer near you. Let's clear the air.
At Giant Eagle, we've always loved our perks. Now we're excited to welcome you all to the future of loyalty with My Perks. There's no math, less rules, and more perks. 50 perks equals $1 off your total, and there are no limits. Plus, you earn perks even when you redeem, so you're always building rewards towards free gas and groceries. Guests who earn the most perks can now unlock My Perks Pro, and pros get even more pumped up savings. Visit gianteagle.com/myperks to switch today.